Welcome to the InterViews podcast.
Prima intenzione, Bobo anticipato, palla vagante, mette giù, recova, il tiro,
Welcome, Interisti, to episode 188 of the InterViews podcast. We are here for the post-match reaction of Cremonese Inter, which finished 2-0 to the visitors. Goals from Lautaro Martinez in the 16th minute, a worldie from Zielinski in the 31st minute. Inter gets the 3 points and goes or extends the lead at the top of the table to 8 points over Milan, who has a game in hand. They play Tuesday for some reason against away to Bologna, so we'll see how that shakes out. As always, I'm one half your co-hosting duo, Alessandro Raffa, joined here by Johnny Paterno. Johnny, so we'll talk about this game for sure, but I wanted to take a little bit of a detour because today was the final match prior to the closing of what has been tumultuous to say the least, January transfer window. And I think at this point, based off of all the reports, it's pretty definitive how things are going to play out for Inter. So I want to start just talking about, state of the union here regarding Inter, because the fact of the matter is, here's how I'll lay it out before getting your opinion on it. Napoli is dumped out of the Champions League. They're 9 points behind Inter, but they're dumped out of the Champions League. So they're going to essentially one game a week with the Coppa Italia mix in there. They're coming up against Como, so let's see how that shakes out for them. Milan's been playing out of Europe all season long, as you continue to see with their game being scheduled for Tuesday. They're working off of plenty of rest. Those are Inter's two main title rivals. In the meantime, Inter finishes 10th in the Champions League, which signs him up for 2 more games in the Champions League, plus Coppa Italia, as well as all of the league commitments. How can it be possible that management shows this squad and shows this staff just how much they are backing them to not give a single signing for this team during the January transfer window? In fact, not that the kid played it all, but we're actually a man down with Palacios out the door here in the January transfer window. It looks like nothing is going to occur for Inter. We'll touch on some details about all these specific deals, but if you're Lautaro Martinez, if you're Kivu, and you've done all this work to build a very tenuous cushion at the top, you're +5 to Milan. They've shown that they can beat, these other teams in Italy. You're +9 on Napoli, but now they don't have to worry about Europe anymore. How could this be? Record revenues.
I mean, it's a joke when you really look at it. It's ridiculous. I don't care that we are making record revenues because it doesn't mean anything if you don't reinvest in your squad and you don't invest properly in your squad. And when you have a squad that's now competing on 3 fronts, now whether you want them to be competing on 3 fronts or not, that's a different story. But you need to have quality within the ranks to be able to rotate, to be able to bring players in and give other ones rest. It's sad that it took Barella an injury to be able to get a few weeks off for his body. I hope that's not the case with Bastoni or Lautaro at any point in this season, because you see the fall off. If Lautaro's not there, for the things I get frustrated with his finishing, it's everything else that he does that's important. So I hope people can understand this. As I say it for the 10th time, it feels like that it just because I criticize someone's finishing does not mean I underestimate the importance of this player to the squad. Sebastiano Pio didn't really do much today. It wasn't really his best performance. Thuram and Boni had 0 impact when they came on. So really, it was just the midfield and Lautaro doing a lot. I mean, and by midfield, I also include Luis Enrique and Di Marco because they were, playing obviously further up the pitch. To not bring in proper cover makes absolutely 0 sense. And one thing that frustrates me is everything has to be a loan. We
Yep.
can't just like make it a clean purchase that we outright own it, that person, and or and that way when you finally own him, it makes it easier to move people out at some point too, because that's another thing that they kept saying, like, well, reports kept saying this player can't go out, so these players can't come in. That shouldn't be an issue. You should be able to just bring someone in and then worry about that later. And actually, if you would have brought someone in, that would have freed up maybe giving Fratesi to Nottingham Forest, or giving I like what I've seen from Luis Enrique recently. But you know what? If 30 million from Bournemouth, you already made a profit on 6 months. Hey, maybe you do take it, right, and then you're able to go and get someone else. But it's frustrating that this management group, and it's not all on Auxilio. I think it's also on Beppe too, because all he does really is just give smoke and mirrors, and say a lot of nonsense in the media that it's like, you're lying. Like, I listen, you could tell me, hey, you know what? We just weren't able to do it. We weren't able to, for this financial reason, or we weren't able to get, the deal across the finish line with these because, they changed these numbers, whatever. But don't tell me that, like, oh, we didn't have any opportunities.
Or that we're covered, or
Yeah,
that we're
or
not
that
in an
too.
emergency.
Yeah. Yeah, don't lie to me. We see it. We as fans can see this. It's not like hidden from us. So it's just frustrating that you get this kind of treatment from Beppe. You get nothing from Auxilio. I don't remember the last time that guy got something across the finish line. And I mean a meaningful transfer, not these little deals that he gets done here and there. I'm talking about a meaningful transfer, because if you look at Lukaku, that was Beppe. If you look at, actually, you know what? Hakimi was Auxilio. I'll give him that one. That's the last one I remember that he was able, and he did that like in a span of like 48 hours.
And they also did that because Jang was willing to spend his way into losing ownership of the club to respect the product on the field.
And for a lot of things that I don't like about Steven Zhang, I will give him that he did want to put a product on the field that was going to be able to be competitive. I can't say that for this ownership group. It's really just FC balance sheet now with this, with Oak Tree. And I feel like that now Beppe is a part of that ownership and that he takes part in the shared revenues. I think that he cares more about that now. And you could say I'm wrong or maybe disagree, and that's fine. But I personally feel that he cares more about his bottom line than he does about what's on the pitch and what he has at his disposal. And you know what? Listen, we have a nice lead. It would be a disappointment if we choke this lead away. But given the fact that, like you said, Milan and Napoli don't have to worry about really anything else, if we were to hit a string of rough matches or injuries, and that costs us the title, I'm not blaming Kivu one bit. And anybody who does or says like, oh my gosh, look what he did or what he did wrong here, you have no one to blame but this management group. And that I will die on that hill I hope it doesn't happen, but I will die on that hill if it does.
I'm really happy that you brought up Beppe in this, because I'll give him the credit of the fact that he doesn't hide. He's actually more in front of the cameras and doing more media than most other sporting directors, presidents, ownership in the entirety of the league. But the gaslighting is ridiculous.
Insane.
To say, I would rather you say, we're working on some negotiations, but we'll see how those play out, as opposed to, we're not in an emergency. We're looking for opportunities, but we're not in an emergency. Carlos Augusto goes down yesterday for a muscle fatigue, and you have DiMarco and Luis Enrique, and a 30, 38, 37, whatever how old Darmian is, on the wings, and then a makeshift center midfielder that now has to try to learn how to play right wing back. That's your cover. Don't tell me we're not in an emergency. We've been in an emergency for 2 months. And the fact that Kivu and the squad have gotten through that, Luis Enrique in particular has gotten through what has been, and the two of us, we comment on the games every single time. Like, when it's not good, and we talk about it. But at the end of the day, like, we have to give him credit for being the only option and consistently on the pitch for 2 months now. And it's not like we asked for a revolution in January. Like Juventus is bringing in, 3, 4, 5 different guys. We asked for one person to play on the wing, to provide some cover, and they can't get that done. The other thing you mentioned, the formulas of these deals. PSV's president comes out and says, Inter's never approached us about Perisic. We had a conversation with him, and Perisic says that we contacted Perisic. So we never talked to the club. We basically asked Perisic and his agent, are you interested in coming back to Milano? Then, prior to this plan getting blown up by PSV, it looks like they were planning on offering at the very end of the deadline, here, like a take it or leave it. Your player wants to join us. That's horseshit way of doing business.
Yep.
Absolutely ridiculous. Then you have, Guado coming out just now saying that Diaby, Curtis Jones is not going to go through because Liverpool, he doesn't want to renew the contract with Liverpool for a year, but because Fratese's deal, the concurrent deal with Nottingham Forest, is not an obligation to buy. So they don't want to get stuck with both Curtis and Fratesi, because Curtis's deal would have to be an obligation. What is that? Are you fucking serious?
Right, you're idiots. Absolute idiots.
You've been to 3 European finals in 5 years, and you're scared of making a transfer? And then this Diaby stuff, you offer a loan with an obligation to buy at 30 mil after a certain number of appearances, but that goes through the entirety of the year, and it goes to December. So that purchase op wouldn't be triggered until December. So they wanted to bypass
the summer.
They wanted to bypass the summer to do a purchase this window for next January transfer window. Hold on a second. How broke are we? That can't be real. No wonder that everyone is saying no. You're moving like the smallest club in the market. You're entirely dependent on player will. And some club playing ball with you. And guess what? Why none of these clubs want to play ball with you? Because it doesn't make any fucking sense for them to play ball with you.
They have no reason to agree to these things. And the fact that Liverpool was even agreeing to let Curtis Jones go, but they wanted it to be obligation. You're like, wait a second. We can't afford obligations. You can't even afford to pay attention, apparently, because it's ridiculous that you can go, like you said, to 2 straight finals. You can win as much as we have been winning and just be, like I said, FC balance sheet, that you can't afford to worry about 35 million euros in the summer. You mean to tell me in the span of 6 months, you can't scrounge up 35 million euros? And you have a player in Curtis Jones, which, listen, I wasn't crazy about it, but I thought, hey, you know what? That's an improvement in the midfield from what we currently have.
Immediate increase in the technical ability.
Immediately. But when you have a guy like that who's willing to come, wants to leave Liverpool, sees that he's not really a part of their future, and you don't do it, how does that make him feel? And we can't go back there in the summer and try to get this done because he's like, this is going to be another game. I might as well try to see what I can find at Brighton.
How can he not look at that and say, yo, 40 million is a bargain for me? Yeah. An absolute bargain for me. What do they do? When are they going to get a player of that quality for around 40 million euros? It's not happening.
Not happening. It's never going to happen. And then and I saw Interisti saying this, and I agree with him 100%. You see a club like Atletico Madrid who locks up Ederson for the summer, who locks up Lookman, and they just go bang, bang. It wasn't even like rumors. It wasn't Atletico dragging their feet talking about, we might want Lookman. Oh, it depends on if Julian Alvarez leaves or whatever. No. Pull the trigger, bring him in. And you know what, Ederson, you could stay at Atalanta till the summer. We'll wait for you then, but it's done. It's done. We own you now. You're coming here.
I had the exact same thought. And you know what is the most upsetting part of that, Johnny? Atletico are 10 points off of the top of the league. 10 points. And Inter is 5 points above a team that has not played in Europe all season,
8 points.
coached
8
by
points. It's not even. We're not even at 5 yet. So like we
Sorry.
have 8 points. But I get what you're saying. It could be 6, it could be 5, or it could be 7, it could be 5. But
against Max Allegri with a world-class goalkeeper, just finding ways to win games while we're essentially stepping on the field with 10 men, given Sommer's performance this season. Plus, really we're stepping on the field with 9 men because on any given day, you have a mistake out of Bisek. You have a mistake out of, you have a poor performance from whoever's playing on the right-hand side. It's just like, or one of the forwards just doesn't show up. A goddamn miracle, honestly.
And that's that's what drives me crazy about the Kivu hit doubters. Like, do you not see that? What Kivu is doing with this team, and everyone's like, oh, it's a better team than last year. It's better than this. What's gotten better? The forward depth? Because you can't honestly tell me the defense has gotten better. It hasn't, because your goalkeeper is a complete liability. And when Bisek plays, you don't know. It's either going to be an A+ game or a D- game. It's never in between. Never. Even today was not that great of a game from him. When you look at his awareness, missing headers, and thank goodness that Vardy misplays the ball and Bonazzoli kicks it a little too forward. Like
twice heavy touches.
Twice heavy touches, bailed out. And honestly, Vardy was clean. And if there was one where Sommer actually came out, which shocked me. But if Sommer doesn't come out, I think Vardy buries that. But anyway,
that happens in the 85th minute. So 5 minutes plus 6 minutes of extra time. Looking as shaky as we did, it could have.
Oh, I'm talking about in the.
Was it the first half? Early in the game?
Early in the second. I don't remember now where it was, but there was one instance where it was like Bonazzoli and
yes, I know what you're talking
Vardy,
about. But he came out and cleared it with his feet.
Yeah. But to see that we're beating the teams that we're supposed to be beating, which wasn't happening last season. I can't fault Kivu if anything goes wrong. We're getting upset over the Champions League things. Fine, he hasn't won a big game, although he beat Dortmund. But people want to now we're moving the goalposts. Dortmund's not a big game. Okay, fine. We still beat Dortmund. We're in the playoff. Not ideal. We're playing Bodo Glimt. Not ideal because of where we have to travel to and the fact that they're going to be fresh. It is what it is in that scenario. But what do you want him to do? What do you want him to do with the rotation that he has? Do you see it? It's Mkhitaryan and Fratesi are the first options off the bench. What happens if Zielinski goes down? We're out Barella. We're out Hakan.
Yep.
And then you might have an actual midfield of Sucic, Mkhitaryan, and Fratesi? Do you not see how close we are to really, really having problems?
Yeah.
And he's competing. He's competing. And we're beating the teams we have to beat to stay at top. Yes, we haven't beaten Milan, Napoli, or Juve, but we've beaten Roma, and Roma's are 2 points behind Juve for 4th spot. We beat Atalanta twice. Yes, with a game in hand on Roma has a game in hand.
Yep. Destroyed Como. As much as
everybody wants.
I understand it's not a direct head-to-head, but it's not like they're dog walking everybody else.
The hipster
got lucky.
Bro, 5.24 XG and you score 0? Shout out Karnesecki too. My gosh, what I would kill to have you as our goalkeeper.
I agree.
But I just don't. Sorry.
The other thing with the Kivu criticism, I see a lot of people saying, it's Kivu did the smart thing by not really tweaking anything with the system, making very, very small changes. That is not true. That is not true at all. This team plays nothing like they did last year. It is much more aggressive, much higher line, much more direct. It is nothing like the team.
The pressing is relentless.
Exactly. They're working harder.
Relentless. They're older and they're working harder, and now they're going to add 2 more games potentially. That's of course if we go to the final again, which I don't really foresee, but 2 more games added to their calendar, and you're down 2 of your midfielders, your typical starters. I don't get it when if you want to be mad at anybody, it's management. You want to get mad at Kivu for his timing of substitutions or who he decides to bring on in certain minutes.
We'll
That's a
talk
whole
about
different.
that.
That's a whole different conversation. But when it comes to, I mean, the way that we're playing and how he is managing the game as a whole, I mean, we won our last 4. We drew Napoli before that. Like,
Managing the squad. He's got, Zielinski's in the best form of his, I don't want to say career because it was major.
Yeah, there was a couple years at Napoli that he was absolutely disgusting.
But he's
but
back
this is close.
one of the best midfielders in Serie A.
In my opinion, this season, all right, fine. You want to give Nico Paz? All right, fine, Nico Paz. But after Nico Paz, I would say Zielinski is right there. Who's done better? Maybe Keprin Turam, maybe. If you want to like,
since Spalletti has come in there,
yeah.
But that's not the whole season, and it wasn't the whole season for Zielinski either. Di Marco is having the best
MVP,
season of
Serie
his
A
career.
MVP.
Yep, having the best season of his career. He stuck by Lautaro when Lautaro was really, really misfiring, and now Lautaro's capocannoniere, hardest working player in the league. He's launched Esposito. A friend of the pod tweeted, like, if Kivu blows this, he should be like tarred and feathered through the streets of Milan. And it's like, no, it's quite easy to see a scenario where we can lose this lead that we have and it not be about what Kivu's doing. At some point in time, the squad, look what happened to us down the stretch last year. And I'm not saying we're going to get to a semifinal this year. And in fact, honestly, to stick it to Oak Tree, who is more worried about, quarterfinal revenue in the Champions League, to stick it to them, you get dumped against Baldo and you go full effect in the Serie A. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying, like, fuck them. You're not going to help me, but I got to kill my team and potentially hurt us in the league because you need the additional 25, 30 million euros that you're not going to fucking spend anyway. All right. Before we hit this game, a disgusting incident in the second half. Emil Lautaro is hit with a flare that came from the stands, came from the section that was cordoned off for the Inter Ultras. A couple things that have come out now. One, apparently the flare went off in the stands, and the guy actually lost like 2 or 3 fingers, and intention wasn't there for it to land near Lautaro. But again, this is unconfirmed reporting. He also apparently got assaulted by other Inter Ultras, and has now been arrested. But regardless, then you also have people on Twitter saying, should be a 3-0 victory for Cremonese in the stands. They got rid of that. They got rid of that rule years ago. It's about a fine and a stadium ban, which at this point in time, the timing of it would be terrible with the Derby d'Italia coming to San Siro shortly. But if that was to happen against a group that, like, they just make us look bad constantly, I would understand it. Your reaction on that truly, truly disgusting display against Lautaro, an ex player of ours.
Yeah, I mean, when I heard the bang, I didn't know what it was, and then they cut to seeing, you see the smoke and Lautaro on the ground. I'm like, oh my gosh! I knew it was the ultras, and I was like, these guys are complete morons. Like how stupid can you be? And honestly, what is the need for flares? What is the need for flares at footballing events? I don't understand it. You got the tifos, you have the chance. You don't need what is smoke gonna do?
Yeah.
In fact, I think it could be more of a hindrance to your own squad at times. Like, there's times where you've seen Derby de Milanos where you can't see the field because it's so gray. And if let's say that happens and Leao gets in and Sommer, he can't see anything anyway. But now you're made it even harder. And now they get a quick, easy goal because you're being stupid with flares. I feel like in this day and age, there's no need for flares. You have the tifos, you have the flags, you have banners. That's all. what's more impactful is the noise that you guys can create than anything. Like it doesn't matter about a smoke, about this, about holding a flare and change. Like, bro, put it away. Put it away. You look like an idiot. You're
Yeah.
a grown man. You don't need to be holding a flow unless you're a cop trying to deal with traffic. There's no need for a grown man to have a flare in his hand anywhere. Period. So enough with that. Let's put a ban in Serie A across every club. Yes, and obviously the situation was specifically with Inter, and it kind of would stink. I thought it was only going to be bans for away matches, but I guess you want to hit him where it hurts. It would be a home one too, but just a level of stupidity. And you guys always cry victim, cry foul, cry this, like, oh look how we're mistreated, look how we're taking advantage, blah blah blah. You guys are the problem. You're the problem.
Yep.
I don't see what positives you want to see bring. All you do is complain, and everyone's like, "Oh, I want to back them." This, like, nah, enough. Like, enough with the ultras. It's such a joke. I'm surprised they all didn't get jumped in the parking lot by people from Cremona. So whatever. I'm just tired of it, and I'm glad that Lautaro was okay in this situation. I didn't know. Like, I mean, he was.
It could
I
have
don't
been
know.
so bad.
It could have been.
Especially if we find out that it wasn't intentional. It's like that thing. He got extremely lucky with where
it just got a little cut on his leg. Very lucky that nothing happened. He kept saying, maybe he couldn't hear. They were saying on the broadcast. I mean, hopefully that's the extent of it, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
He was able to finish the match, so I'm gonna assume that everything's okay there. But yeah, like you said, it could have been completely terrible, and it would have been such a shame. It happens to a former player, a guy who helped you win a Scudetto. Like
the second star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Disgraceful.
Stupid. Yeah.
We missed the atmosphere for a bit at the start of the season when they weren't around. But this is not worth that. This is not worth that.
No.
Somebody getting hurt is not worth that. I just don't understand. Go to the stadium, support, chant. That's good enough. But any aggression towards folks that are on the field, players that are on the field, is a very hard line that is not to be crossed. So we'll see how things shake out there. All right, let's get into this game. Johnny, you had suggested instead of doing the game situations, let's go right into what the fans want to talk about. And I'm with that. So first up, we did get this speak pipe at halftime, or maybe a little bit after halftime. So I am curious what it's going to be here, but it's from very pissed off Inter fan. Let's start kicking off.
Hey guys, I'm not really going to comment on the game. I don't really feel that it's appropriate given the disgusting incident that occurred to our former player, Emil Lautaro. I'm absolutely disgusted by our actions. This is absolutely pathetic. That is not Inter. That is not us. That is pathetic in every sense of the word, and has no place in Serie A, has no place in world football. And if these ultras want to call themselves true fans of our beloved team, you would single this man out and kick him out and bring him to justice. Tell the authorities, tell Inter, this is the guy that did it, right? Because they do not represent who we are. And the response I'm waiting for from Inter, from the players, from the coach, is going to be really, really interesting about this. Because for me, I'm happy that we got 3 points, but I'm sorry. That to me is disgraceful, and I never ever want to see that again.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. The response did come in from Kivu Marotta and the like, and they've all condemned it in the strongest things. But Johnny, I think the thing that he said there that was most impactful with me is that this doesn't represent Inter, and I like, this is not what Inter fans are like at all. And you also give the opportunity for all these other fan bases to try to dunk on us and make us seem like we're rats, and it couldn't be farther from the truth.
No, it couldn't be. And, it's disappointing that this kind of takes away from the victory and calls into question, should we change the rules? And I've seen some people saying like, oh, like you said, like Inter should lose this game 3-0. It's not going to happen, but it's annoying that this happened, and now people can actually like bring it up and kind of make it a thing. And
they will start hammering points deduction as a punishment. It's going to be all week long. That's all we're going to see.
That's all we're going to see. Doesn't surprise me. It's not, it is what it is. This fan base is kind of funny sometimes, but not this fan. I mean, fans in Serie A, I should say. Sorry, but yeah, no, I agree. Like I don't know what's true, what's not true. If he really did lose 3 fingers, if he really did get beat up by other ultras or whatever it is, but I do hope like our friend there said that that they turn him in, because to do that to forget about that it's a former player, to do that to any player, is disgusting. And if it was accidental, it's even worse in a sense, because look what you could have done by just being an idiot. So, I mean, it's a shame that if he really did lose 3 fingers, but maybe it'll teach people like, hey, not worth it to bring freaking flares to a soccer match, a football match, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, agreed. All right. To your Twitter comments, Sean, real question: with Fratesi starting, which one of our players is essentially a new signing? So Dumfries is not going to be back for another month. Do you think it's Darmian? Darmian made his appearance.
You didn't. We signed them. We signed them in January. Incredible. I can't believe that Man United even let him go.
Listen, we were exclusively interested in the 35-plus club for this Mercato.
This Mercato, you had to be a senior citizen to be a player of interest, and I'm glad that. Did you hear actually ARP is going to be our new front of kit sponsor for next season?
Oh,
so yeah, we're going to be able to. It's going to look so good, man. I can't wait till I can wear that kit to IHOP and get 10% off my senior discount. Yep. So
matinee tickets at the movies.
Ooh,
$5.
Oh my gosh, bro! I love it when you talk dirty to me. But
it's gonna be nice.
Yeah, this is where we're at, man. This is where we're at. We have to laugh to keep from crying, I think, and that's a sad
I am
state.
Interested in your thoughts on Darmiano today. I honestly
did he do anything?
It's the same performance we've been getting from him for 2 years, which is good. It's fine.
It's fine. Yes, that's it. It's fine. He did nothing, no mistakes. He did nothing of note. It's just Darmian. It's your Swiss Army knife coming out, doing his thing, and then you put him back in your pocket and you go on with your day.
Yeah. Those those like when people tweet like the stats at the end of the game for Darmian, it's going to be 0 crosses, 0 tackles, 0 fouls committed. It's just
0 Actually, he went 9 of 10 for passes. I did not even notice, but I was going to say 0 passes. Hey, 0 dispossessions. He didn't get dispossessed. 0 tackles, 0 blocks, 0 interceptions.
Sommer hurts the team way more than Darmian will ever hurt the team.
For sure. Oh,
one of 2 on ground duels, like 50%.
That's it, bro.
For everyone who wins,
that's it, man.
I guess that's it. That's who the new signing is.
That's where we're at, man.
Gab. I'm so happy we have ballers like Sucic, Pio, Zielinski, Akanji this season, but so disappointed in our management and lack of more proactive investments into the squad this winter mercato. So we've talked about this a lot, but as far as the technical, the technical ability in the squad, this year has definitely been an increase, right? For a number of different reasons. Zielinski has had a more prominent role in the team, so you're starting to see his technical brilliance. Obviously he mentioned Sucic. You can see in moments where that is. Akanji is, a very technical center back. If you would have brought in Curtis Jones, again, you can continue to see the technique. And then also, Bunny and Pio off the bench compared to the technique you were getting out of Arnautovic or Correa is very, very different. And also, apparently, based off of Kivu's requests, he does want to increase the technical ability in the squads. Players like Diaby, Curtis Jones, even Perisic, they would continue to increase that. So, yeah, we've talked about this a bit. SC Chad for the pod. Kivu's a rock star despite management. Good games from Lautaro, Zielu, and Dimash, and even Luis Enrique. Would be great to have Diaby, but knowing Otri won't happen. Would like to see Juve get more minutes. He has more than enough to start at right wing back. Let's talk about Luis Enrique. 60 minutes today. Been playing a lot. Gets his first assist of the season. Although, if we're being honest, that goal had a lot more to do with what Zielinski was bringing to the table than what Luis Enrique brought to the table.
Hey.
Listen. But it's confirmed at this point he's going to be with us for the rest of the year. Your thoughts on his performance today and your hopes for what the rest of the season can be for him.
I thought this was one of his better performances by far. I thought that he played a good, complete game, felt composed on the ball. There were some times where balls were in the air, and he did a little bit of a risky thing, bringing it down and trying to dribble past his man, and it worked. The announcers were trying to criticize him for that, saying that he was a little cavalier with his play. But you know what? I'm glad he's bringing a little Brazilian flair out all of a sudden. So that's definitely a positive there. And to get the assist, yes, I mean Zielinski did most of the work on that. That's fine, but I do think that that definitely increases his confidence for sure. I thought that he made a few decent crosses into the box that. Pio got on the end of one, wasn't able to put it on goal. I believe he got another one that got absolutely blasted into the sky by Fratesi, which doesn't surprise me. Man, all right, sorry, but this is about Luis Enrique. I'm not going to go there yet, but yeah, no, really, really strong performance. I'm kind of glad we didn't sell him, even though it would have been a positive. I don't know if unless you would have guaranteed me that money would have been used to bring in Diaby or in Dan Ndoye, I don't think that it would have been worth it. Dan Ndoye actually more so than Diaby. I think he would have been a perfect player for the way Kivu wants to play. I think that his pace would have been insane. Very good at creating chances for himself and his teammates. But if this is the alternative, I'm okay with it because we're seeing a player who's really growing right in front of our eyes. And I think that Kivu is confident in his play. Clearly, he continues to start him. We didn't see him go to Darmian as fast as we may have wanted, or he could have even started Darmian and then brought in Luis Enrique to close out the game, right? To kind of maybe give himself a little bit more ease or balance into the match, whatever it is. But yeah, like what I saw from him today. Very happy, and I hope that he continues in this direction.
He also mentioned Juve. We did see him at the end of the game,
Yep.
about 10 minutes or so on the pitch. I saw a lot of this guy did everything wrong as soon as he came in. Did you see it like that?
Diouf?
Yeah.
I saw him misplay a lot of passes. I don't know if I would say he did everything wrong, but yeah, I don't think if he completed more than 3 passes, I'd be surprised. Felt like that he was a little scared to go into challenges. It could just be, I didn't expect to play type of thing, and I wasn't really mentally ready. Not saying that's an excuse, but I know other people who have been there when you're not expecting to make minutes. That when you finally do get put on, you're just not there mentally. So I think that's all it's chalked up to be. I mean, when he had more time to grow into the game against Borussia Dortmund, he had a better impact. So yeah, I'm not gonna be too upset with his performance.
Yeah, I just don't think it's enough to really say. It's also a
No.
tough game to get into.
For sure.
At that point in time, it was like Cremonese hoofing it up the pitch, and we were just trying to possess stuff, but which is also not really his thing. Like he wants to take people on, and it was just a difficult game for him to look good at that point in time. Intertwined, satisfying win, not so satisfying Mercato. To me, this front office had an opportunity here with the money made to allow us of a dream of a CL run. And solidify our dominance in the league with a few key moves, but we decided not to, and it's a bit frustrating. Listen, Johnny, I gotta point it back to a conversation that we had right at the end of last year, where I believed, because of the money brought in from the UCL run, that we were going to have a good summer they'd want to continue to keep this team competitive so that they can continue to dream of more 150 million euro Champions League runs. You told me I was ridiculous for thinking like this. And listen, one January transfer window later, one summer transfer window later, you've been exonerated. It was me. I was wrong.
Wow. Did not know that would happen today. My goodness. Yeah, I mean, listen, I told you then I didn't want to be right. I would much rather be the one who's wrong. But yes, it's this ownership group. There is no desire to really stamp yourself as one of the European elite clubs. I don't think that we will ever be that, unfortunately. I think 2010 was the peak we will see at Inter, unfortunately, unless new ownership comes in. That's the only way that we may be able to get to that point. And I think it has to be, listen, I don't know if what the amount of billionaires are in Italy. Like, I don't know if there even are any left. But you need someone who cares, not just about, numbers and stuff like that. You need someone like who bleeds black and blue, who just loves this club, wants to see it succeed. I mean, look at Moratti, right? He was willing to bankrupt his family to make this team European champions. Like, he would have done anything. And the only reason he gave it up is because he was running out of money. That's the only reason. And he just couldn't keep it going at the level that he wanted to keep it going. Like, you know how hard it is to be a fan and have to give up the club that you love just because you want to see it survive?
Yep.
I mean, I know I would have had a hard time giving up Inter if I was in those shoes. I would have gone down with the ship.
That proves his love for the club.
That does. Exactly. Like that. He is Inter. And we need someone with that type of mentality who also has a little bit of business savvy, because I will say Moratti did also spend sometimes a little too carelessly on certain players and got a little crazy with some things. But if you have someone who can have that perfect balance, which I know is easier said than done, that's what we need to go forward, because Oak Tree Group being your owner and not an individual who loves, Italian football, who cares about I don't want to be looked at as just an investment piece. Something to, try to get 20 to 30% capital gains on and then flip, which I think is what they're going to do once this new stadium gets, once ground breaks on the new stadium that Inter and Milan are building, they're going to cash out.
That's going to be years from now. I'm hoping it's going to be sooner.
I think by 2028, I think that's a realistic time. But hey,
so.
Who knows?
But
if they don't break ground,
you could also look at the clubs that have beaten us in Champions League finals. The last several years. If it's not a super passionate owner, then it's a oil-rich nation state that refuses to lose. Like, is there the type of personality there? It's like, yeah, I'll spend every last dollar, but I won't need to because I'm infinitely wealthy. But I'll spend every last dollar to improve the team. Those are the teams that Inter lost to in Champions League finals.
Yeah. And then people want to make fun of us because we gave two of these oil companies essentially their troubles, right?
They were getting them no matter what. They were going to get them.
It didn't matter who they played, though. Really, like if it wasn't Inter against Man City, it would have been Milan. And I'll be honest, that probably would have been a murder. Like the 5-0 game we had against PSG, it might have been 6-0 for Milan. I'm just gonna come out and say that. So, and then you look at the one against PSG. I don't think. Listen, Barcelona fans want to live in this fantasy land that they would have done better than us. PSG would have ripped them apart too. And the only thing that
suicidal high line in all of football.
They could Barcelona would have been up maybe 3-2, and they would have just played that high line still, and PSG would have exploited it and won 4-3. If that, it probably worse, but whatever. It was going to happen, like you said, no matter who it was. So,
yeah.
But
all right, those are your questions. Let's get over to this game. Story of the game: Inter dominant in that first half. get the goal, the early goal, the 16th minute goal off of a set piece, a corner, DiMarco to Lautaro. And then we do have the Zielinski world-class strike with his left foot to put us up 2-0 heading into the break. Second half, the foot came off the gas a bit, but Cremonese was never really in it, despite some nervous moments at the end of the half, with just some like a little bit lackadaisical defending on the part of Inter. I want to start with the substitutions. At halftime, I had tweeted, okay, you're up 2-0. The most important thing to do now is to manage Zielinski's minutes and to manage the wingbacks' minutes, given the injuries that we have at these two departments. Zielinski gets 90, DiMarco gets 90, Luis Enrique gets 60. Obviously, Darmian comes in and gets 30. Neither Kamate or Koki get into the game. Would you have handled it differently? What are your thoughts on how Kivu managed that? I'm assuming Zielinski's going to get the rest against Torino, but
yeah, it's tough to say, to be honest. I think that this would have been the better game to give them the rest. Like, I agree with you. Specifically Zielinski, you do see him kind of like fade in games around the 75-minute mark. It would have been good to get him off this one. Yeah, maybe Kamate is not ready for this match, but that Cremonese midfield wasn't anything, threatening. So I think that he could have been able to hold his own at the very minimum against them, and you would have been able to give Zielinski some much needed rest. With DiMarco and Koki, yeah, same thing. Like, why keep him on? Why? It makes no sense. Like, why are you taking off Fratesi first? Granted, he was the worst player by far on the pitch today. And if you want to disagree, go look at the match again. Watch it again, please. He was easily the worst player today. If you want to say Esposito, maybe that's a close one in my opinion. But Fratesi was the worst player. I can understand taking him off for Mkhitaryan in that instance. And then you could have literally taken Zielinski off too, because you had Diouf, you could have brought on Kamate, and you would have been fine in that sense. What I thought might have been a nice little wrinkle to test out is maybe you push Bastoni up there, flip Bisek to the left, bring in De Vrij in the middle, and move Akanji to the right. And you could have just had Bastoni play as your regista for a little bit. He's good with the ball at his feet, takes away a little bit more of the defensive responsibility from him. Maybe you could have tried that out if you really wanted to maybe, give some guys some rest that clearly needed it. But
you could have also went Mickey Regista at that point. You're 2-0 up. Like,
no, he's a disaster. You can't do that.
At least he wouldn't be making those decisions.
He's a disaster. No, you can't do that. Yeah, sure. I guess you could have, but I mean, I wouldn't have anyway. But yeah, it's just it is what it is. I mean, we'll see what he decides to do against the Torino match. I feel like you're going to rotate in Mkhitaryan in the starting 11. And then what? You go Zielinski, Sucic for that one? I definitely don't want to see Fratesi start that.
I think Fratesi is going to start that.
That's disgusting, bro. Then congratulate that. If you want to see where we drop points, that's where it is. Torino, when we finish a 1-1 draw because we decided to play David Fratesi.
Well, it's the Coppa Italia.
Oh,
okay. That's why I'm
fine.
like,
you know what? Lose that one. I don't care. As a matter of fact, Kamate, Koki, I'm sure Joseph Martinez will finally get a start in that one, and he'll play the game of his life, and then we'll be right back to the bench for Jan Sommer, veteran leader. Which, I mean, listen, he didn't have a bad game today, but the biggest save of the match was the post. So I don't want to get carried away. Somehow he was a 7.9 in today's match. Cool. Yep. I'm assuming for distribution, but whatever.
I really, really don't like Zielinski getting 90 minutes here, despite the fact that he's probably not going to play against Torino, simply for the fact that your two regista options outside of Zielinski are Barella and Hakan, and neither are on the verge of coming back. Like, that it's a maybe for Juventus. If something happens to Zielinski in that second half, you're done for. You're looking at a complete and total formation switch in order to make things happen. because you're not going to play Mkhitaryan back there for an extended switch. So I just didn't love that Zielinski got the full 90. As far as like DiMarco and Luis Enrique, like I probably would have taken DiMarco off the pitch and put Darmian in, and either had Luis Enrique go to the left or Darmian go to the left. If you didn't want to play Koki against Zabin and Terracciano, who, are two young players, they're not, they're not going to wow anyone, but at least Zabin was showing a bit of danger. If you were worried about putting the youngster in there, then, Luis Enrique or Darmian could have handled it. So I didn't love that. Luis Enrique has played so much that I understand wanting to get him off the feet, but I might have done something differently. And Kamate has been tearing it up for the U23s. He really has. So it would have been interesting to see him come on. You mentioned Sommer. No mistakes for him. Generally a pretty good game. Didn't have a ton to deal with, but did come out and have that two interventions on Vardy that ended up being pretty big. So good game from him. You get complete 90s for Bisek, Akanji, and Bastoni. Bastoni did not play against Dortmund, or he did. He came on late. I think so did Akanji as well. So they were ready to go for this match. Bisek was subbed off against Dortmund, but still able to get through this match. Not really a need as far as rotation is concerned. You don't really need to do any switches there. Any of the individual performances from the back three that you want to highlight?
No, I think a pretty straightforward game from all three. I mean, minus Bisek having a couple brain farts that fortunately didn't burn us, but nothing crazy impressive from either one. Nothing bad either, but like nothing that was like, wow, this stood out, or Akanji did a last second challenge or anything like that. It was just a good game. Good game from at least the two for sure, in Akanji and Bastoni. And Bisek, was okay.
Yeah, Akanji was 75 of 77 for a 97%.
Wow,
passing
that's
percentage.
Okay. Nice,
really good. Bastoni attempted 104 passes, and he was super, super involved. There was one ball.
104.
Yeah, one ball in the second half that he had played in that Thuram got his head to, but honestly, if Thuram had left it, it would have been kind of perfectly in stride for Bonni to slide to it and get to it and make it 3-0. So, he definitely was dangerous in the first half, several crosses as well. So a good game from Bastoni. We did, touch on the midfield and the wing backs, but I do want to talk about Di Marco. As both Inter's MVP and a potential Serie A MVP, how much credence are you giving to either of those arguments?
I mean, he's definitely Inter's MVP. The guy's influential. He's unbelievable. I thought he was going to score that free kick that he took that just hit the top of the wall. I think if it doesn't hit the wall, honestly, that's going in, my personal opinion. It looked like it was a ball that was struck very well, on target, clearly going to be. And yeah, and in terms of Serie A MVP, I mean, if he's able to get double-digit goals from a wing-back position, and he already has double-digit assists in all
5
all
goals, 8
competitions,
assists.
but he's got 5 goals, 8 assists in the league. If he's somehow able to maybe finish with like 8 goals, 11 assists, and continues to put in these types of performances, it's kind of hard to argue against him. Like that left foot is truly been blessed by God, and yeah, I've got nothing but good things to say about him and what he's able to. Holy cow!
I'm not trying to be a match rating guy, but like, Jesus.
8.5, 8.6, 9.3, 7.4, 7.9, 8.0, 8.9.
That's a
7.3, 7.4. I mean, the dude is unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 assists here, goals. I mean, that's not those are not typical numbers for a left wing back. No left wing back is that impactful.
Ivan Perisic was, but that's besides the point.
See, we gotta find a way to get him in here.
He did have 11 goals and 13 assists one year in all comps. Just saying.
He did, playing a variety of different positions too. Zielinski, I mean, we talked about him being one of the best midfielders, if not the best midfielder in Serie A this year. The other two midfielders, Sucic and Fratesi. Let's start with Sucic. 82 minutes for him today. Got the majority of the game against Dortmund. He's been playing more often now that Barella and Hakan are out. It hasn't been spectacular, but I think it's been really, really encouraging. What did you see out of Petar tonight?
A pretty solid performance. I thought that he was pretty good with his distribution himself. I thought that he had, some good opportunities really to maybe have shots himself. He didn't want to take them, but I think he's another young player that just needs a little time to. And I think if he's played consistency, we'll see the type of player that he's capable of being. I like, obviously he scored the goal against Arsenal, great. But what I was really impressed with, was how he was able to absorb pressure in both this game and the Borussia Dortmund match. He was able to pick out his midfield partners or teammates, however you want to call them. And yeah, I am a fan of this player. I do think that he's going to have, a good many years to come here at Inter, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I am starting to see him, even if he doesn't get the goal or doesn't get the assist, I'm starting to see just his overall attitude be a lot better. And he was doing things that are, traits of midfielders in Serie A, successful midfielders in Serie A, which is like he was drawing fouls. He was, he was getting the contact and he was going down, but in a way to like get his team back get the ball back. Like he was just doing these good things, and I really liked what I saw out of him today. You mentioned Fratesi as being the worst on the pitch outside of Pio. I don't think, like, for me, Pio wasn't that bad. I know he only had one shot, but he didn't get a ton of service. He was, pretty accurate as far as passing is concerned, but they didn't use him as much as they, typically do, which is fine for me. But for Fratesi, it was a really invisible first half. He got on the end of a couple of opportunities, and like I don't know what.
Well, let's just look at this real quick. Zielinski attempted 85 passes. Sucic attempted 53 passes. Fratesi 15 passes. How are you, as a midfielder, only attempting 15 passes? Like, seriously.
Yep.
What? Where are you then? Where are you that the ball's not getting to you and being able to play through you, around you, to the side? Like, Luis Enrique had touches. Luis Enrique had 33 passes. You're standing right next to him, and you don't get the ball. You don't make yourself available to him if he's in trouble. You both came off at the same time. So even if you want to make the argument that Sucic played more minutes and that's why he had 40 more passes, okay. So you're going to tell me in 22 minutes he had 40 more passes?
Yeah. This was the opportunity that upset me the most, the 28th minute one, where the way that he went after that ball from Di Marco was almost like he was playing for Cremonese and he was a defender clearing it. Like, he didn't go direct to the ball. Like, the way that he snatched at it upwards.
You run straight at it and you jump up, you're able to head that in.
A 0.34 XG opportunity. That's for people that look at the XG, that's a huge chance. A huge chance.
He's just not a good player. I'm sorry. He's just not a good player. And for anyone who wants to defend him and like because he scored a nice goal against Barcelona and he scored a winner against Hellas Verona in the 92nd minute, whatever it was. Cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, like you're basically the Italian Mattias Vecino. That's it.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good today. He'll have another shot against Torino, I'm assuming. And he's all, I don't know. You would think like he's had a couple encouraging performances off the bench. Like he's getting an opportunity with Hakan and Barella down. You would think like he's able to assert himself a little bit more, but that wasn't the case today. We talked about Pio and his ineffectiveness and it not entirely being down to him. Lautaro was awesome. Awesome. That set piece routine off the corner was, I'm guessing, a Palombo training ground staple, and they executed it perfectly. Perfect header. He's now up to 13 goals in the league, which is 5 more than anybody else. He's by himself on 4th on Inter's all-time scorer list. The hard work was there. He had an XG of 1.04, so he gets his goal and he doesn't really mess up any any huge chances. Captain's performance from Lautaro today, and also 75 minutes. So they managed him, against Dortmund, and this was also not a full game from him. If you look at his last several games, he actually hasn't completed 90 since last year. 76, 85, 87, 18, 88, 63, 82, and 74. So, Kivu is using the guys off the bench for Lauti.
Yeah, I mean, another good performance from him. I thought that his distribution was really good as well. He had a few amazing, beautiful first touches that was able to free up space for himself and to continue the attack. This is what we want to see, and if you can keep finishing like you have been lately, that's awesome. Like, that's what we need. We need you to be leading from the front. The other guys are not as good or as consistent as finishers, and that's saying something, because he's not. Lautaro himself is not consistent, but he is the most consistent of all the strike options we have. So we need him. We need him to do this. We need him to be successful and to be able to be competing on all the fronts that we're involved in. So yeah, thank you for just being, a fantastic captain and continuing to lead this squad forward.
I don't think there's much of note to talk about as far as the substitutes are concerned. So let's wrap this up. You want to look ahead to Torino, like a little rotation game?
It's going to be Boni, Pio up top.
You think so?
It's going to be Koki, Sucic, Mkhitaryan, and Fratesi in the midfield. Luis Enrique on the right. Maybe
Wow.
Diouf. Maybe Diouf.
I think
Diouf's going to get that one. And then it'll be De Vrij
in the middle.
Kanji on the right, and maybe Acerbi on the left.
I was thinking that too, because you really want to get away to get both, especially if Carlos Augusto is going to be out.
Yeah, if he's going to be out. And then Pep Martinez, sadly, in net, he'll be a depressed keeper.
He will.
Knowing his time is pretty much done, and apparently like nobody has faith in him, which is hilarious to me. But
best chance of getting a start amongst these three: Cuddle Mary Trash, Leonardo Bovo, Matteo Koki, Isiaka Kamate.
I think Koki has the best shot, because I think this is the kind of game where you want to give Di Marco a rest.
Yeah.
And if you can do it for at least 70 minutes, 75, whatever. To be honest, I think that even with that heavy rotation, you should be able to handle Torino. I know it was match day 1 for us, but they are not a team that looks that great. So I feel like we should be able to handle them with ease.
Yeah. And if we're being totally honest, like, I don't think we need the Coppa Italia. I don't think.
I don't really care, to be honest. Yeah, we could, like, if we lose this game, there's nothing to be upset about.
And also, Kivu again should send the message of like, there's no reason I have to start one of Di Marco or Bastoni in this game. Like, I am gonna start Acerbi out left and Koki on the left. That's what he should do.
Just, yeah, and you know what? And do it to send another message to management. Like, this is all I have. You want me to compete in 2 other competitions? Well, this is what I'm throwing out there, because this is what I have.
Yeah. What's the point of me winning this competition and getting 12 million euros for the final? You're not going to use it.
That's so sad, but so true. That's 100% true.
All right. So that's Cremonese Inter. Like we said, Inter is 8 points clear at the top, with Milan having a game in hand. Next up, Coppa Italia against Torino. What was it? Tuesday, Wednesday? Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then Sassuolo at the weekend rumored that Pep is going to get both Torino and Sassuolo matches before welcoming on Valentine's Day Juventus, Spalletti, to the San Siro.
Fans, let me tell you right now, take your girls out the night before.
Yeah.
Because if it's a depressing game, you don't want to be out at dinner trying to make her happy, trying to be lovey-dovey.
You're so right.
You know,
I didn't think about that.
do it the night before, everybody. Be like, hey, you know what, babe? I just thought I want to celebrate you a day early.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want all these people at a reservation.
Yeah,
like,
no,
let's
no,
go
no.
out.
Like, let's go out early.
That's so good.
Let's be smart, boys.
That's so good. That is so good. Thank you for saying that. I needed to hear it. All right. In the words of the great Roberto Scarpini, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi.